Hello, I'm Jeremy, and today I am at the TRQ Research and Development Facility where we test all of our parts on a fleet of vehicles. And I'm hoping to talk to you today about window regulators. Each one is a little bit different, but I can give you some tips and tricks on what to expect if you're replacing one on your own car. So let's get started. Each door panel has a variety of screws and clips that hold it on, and these screws and clips can be hidden in a bunch of different places. One place is down here by the window switch. Sometimes you have hidden screws at the bottom of your door pulls. You can see I've removed this one. Sometimes they'll be hidden behind door handles, and sometimes they'll be surrounding the door panel itself. You may also find it behind little lights and a variety of other places. So once you pull out all of the hidden screws on your door, then the door panel will either pull straight off or it'll pull up. So I'll show you what the backside looks like. So some door panels, you'll have to remove the window switches before you can actually pull the panel off. This is one of them. In this case, we have a mirror switch that we'll have to disconnect. And then you can just kind of pull the door panel off. A lot of interior door handles have cables that go to them, that go from the handle itself down to the lock. And most of them work like this. It's actually a lot like a bicycle brake cable. And it clips into the door panel, and then it has a little end on it that slides into the door handle itself. So it's very easy to remove. You usually don't require any tools to actually remove it. Again, we have some additional clips. You just push the tab on these to release them. And at that point, you can kind of have your door panel off. You can see these are the types of clips that you're going to find on door panels. They just push straight into the door. Another option is the kind that is like a hook downward. And in that case, you have to lift the door panel straight up to get it off of the door itself. Once you have your door panel off, you're going to find a weather seal, which is held on with adhesive, and maybe a couple other components like speakers or possibly an airbag, some items like that. So first you have to get those items off and get your weather seal out of the way. With that out of the way, then you have full access to your window regulator. Your window regulator is held to your door, but it also holds your glass. So one thing you usually like to do when you're doing a window regulator is taping the glass to the door. So you'll have your glass rolled all the way up, and then you tape your glass to your door over the top of the door itself. And that allows you to kind of work on it safely without the glass falling down into the door. With the glass taped up, then you can usually pull a couple of bolts out of the bottom of the glass, and your window regulator will be separated from your glass. On a few cars out there, you do have to have the glass at a lower than up height. You have to have it somewhere in the middle of its range so that you can access the bolts that hold the regulator to the glass. And if that's the case, you'll see a couple of capped holes in the door. They're usually covered with like a plastic panel or a couple of push pins or something like that, where you pull the pins out or you pull the caps off, and then you can slide a socket through the hole and you can undo the window regulator from the glass. And you're going to have to kind of search out your panel for something like that. Essentially, if you can't figure out how to disconnect your glass from your regulator, there's probably a hidden hole somewhere that you can stick a socket through if your window is at the right height. And once you've removed those two bolts, then you can grab the glass and you can lift the glass up and tape it to the top of your door so it's completely out of your way for when you're removing and replacing the window regulator itself. With those separated, then you'll have probably about 4 bolts that will hold your regulator into your door. And with those 4 bolts removed, then you can pull your regulator out of your door. There are some cars where the regulator is part of an interior door panel itself. So it may have 10 or 12 bolts in it, and you pull a larger panel out that has the regulator attached to it. This is really common on Volkswagens. And in that case, you'll pull the entire panel off with the regulator, and then you'll pull the regulator off of that panel. So it's just 2 different styles of regulators that are quite common. There's usually about two styles of regulators. There's a cable type regulator and then there's a scissor type regulator. A scissor type is exactly how it sounds. It looks like a giant pair of scissors. And as the motor spins, it basically pulls the arms together like a pair of scissors would, and it moves the window up and down. A cable style is a little bit different because it has an actual steel cable that runs around all inside your door panel, and the cable moves some pulleys and it allows the glass to go up and down. What usually happens in those regulators is the cables end up snapping or they unwind from their pulleys and the glass will fall down in the door. So when that happens, you'll have to raise up your glass from the inside and tape it to the top of your door without the help of your power window motor or something like that. And that will get it out of the way for when you're actually replacing the regulator itself. When you're reinstalling the window regulator, one of the things that you always want to do before you reassemble everything is plug your window switch in and make sure your window regulator is actually working before you reinstall your door panel and your speakers and all your other items, because you want to make sure it's lined up right and working properly before you get everything back together. It'll save you a hassle. It's very easy to accidentally knock your window out of its track or have the window regulator not aligned properly, and it'll cause the window to bind up and not go up and down smoothly. So you always want to make sure that your window goes up and down smoothly before you reassemble everything. And that about wraps up the general guidelines on how to do a window regulator in just about any car. As you can tell, they're all a little bit different, but this should get you started so you're not surprised by anything behind the door panel. If you're looking for a window regulator for your car, definitely check out the TRQ brand because they're rigorously tested, they fit perfectly, and they're going to fix it right the first time. So, we'll see you next time.